to another YouTube video. I am so excited about this video because I have been in a deep study of Acts for like months and I'm finally at the end of it. And so I've been wanting to make a video of like a flip through of my time in Acts and then also compare it to the last time I studied Acts. So I'm really excited about that. So that is going to be the majority of this video. I also thought I would mention that this video is sponsored by AnaLuisa again because I love them. And it's not because they keep sending me jewelry, it's literally because I'm obsessed. And yeah, I love them so much, and the fact that they keep sending me jewelry is probably become one of the best parts of my existence. Because actually for a long time I really struggled with wearing jewelry as a whole because my skin would like really react to it for some reason. I had a hard time like not having like little like rashes and reactions to different jewelries that I would get, even if they were like high quality. I just couldn't figure out what to do. But when AnaLuisa started showing me their brand, those worked. Like I've had these earrings in for months and I've never had a bad reaction to them at all. Nothing on my skin from necklaces, like literally nothing, which was a godsend because having fun little jewelry is so fun, but it kept hurting and like I kept having all these issues. And so getting to try on these pieces and have them actually be wearable is so nice. But yeah, they just sent me these and I have them on for you today instead of doing an unboxing because I did that last time. But my birthstone is a pearl, and so I got this fun little pearl necklace, and then I got these little cuffs to match, and then I got these white earrings. These actually glow in the dark. I haven't tested that yet, but I think they really do. Yeah, and then I also have this like ring set. I think I have, this is a mix of two of their ring sets, but I really like this combination together. But yeah, so I just love them, and their packaging, I actually have it right here, is so cute. I go on trips pretty often. I'm about to travel up to North Carolina to see my family for Thanksgiving. And actually, when you see this video, this may have already passed. I don't really know, but this packaging is so nice because I can travel with it and it makes it so easy. They don't get tangled up, and it's eco-friendly. So that just makes it even better. So yeah, I have a code. I'll put that on the screen. And yeah, it's AnaLuisa jewelry. It's amazing. It's so good. But yeah, so let's get into the video. I'm going to show you all of my notes and yeah. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do as I was comparing my journey through Acts the first time and the second time, a few years apart, I wanted to kind of show you the different journaling styles that I had during these times. Acts was the very first book that I started Bible journaling in, pretty much. A few years ago, it's the first book I ever did on my Instagram page. And yeah, so if you've been following along from the beginning, a lot of these pages will look similar to you, or you'll remember them from me showing you the first time I showed you these pages. I also have a full tour of my old Bible journal, journal Bible, whatever. But yeah, so in this one I'm just going to show you this book. But so this is kind of how I took on Acts. I literally like painted in this, did a lot of different styles. I was kind of trying to figure out like what I liked the best. Lots of different notes and pages. Like, I mean, we're talking like lots of pages and notes. So the journaling style that I kind of switched to has a lot less going on. Okay, and this is my current journaling Bible, and you will see how vastly my style has changed since I studied Acts last time. tour of my Bibles compared through the books, I would say the biggest thing that like the big difference between those years that I studied the book and it looked so different, the reason I think is because like if you go back and look through the pages, what is on my face? Ignore that. If you look at the pages, like I was afraid to have blank space because like I think there's a lot of pressure if you start like Bible journaling and stuff that like you need to like write notes for absolutely everything, and so that's kind of what I was doing. But then I started like tiring of that and feeling like there's a lot of pressure instead of it just being my time with Jesus, so I stopped doing that, obviously, through to now where I study my Bible this way in every book, and if there's blank space, it doesn't matter to me, and that made a really big difference. But I was going through my notebook. I journal a lot. I just got back into it because I stopped for like 6 months just because life was crazy, but I picked it back up last week. But I have like full notebooks, like 5 or 6 of them, and when I do my Bible study, I normally just write out like my thoughts, not all of them because I put some of them like actually in my Bible, but I'll write down, you know, like what God's showing me and like just what he's doing in my life at the time and stuff. So I figured I would just kind of show you some of the things that I wrote down during reading Acts. Right when I started Acts last time, I had just started my Bible page on Instagram, which is probably that's probably where you know me from. But yeah, so I just started that, and so like I was writing about that and I was like, thank you God for giving me this opportunity and like all this stuff. In this page, I was really into painting everything. This was the same day that I did those paintings in my Bible in Acts that matched these. I read Acts 20 through 21 today. Paul just gets crazier and crazier. He cares less and less about his own well-being, and he was beaten, arrested. I also wrote in cursive during this time, and it's hard for me to read. Beaten, arrested, carried through the city by soldiers chained, and he was still able to find clear and fearless words and asked to preach the gospel again. That was literally the only thing on his mind all the time. Jesus, allow me to have the mind of Paul, to remain unbothered by things of this world, petty and foolish fears, and keep my mind stayed on you and talking about you and showing you with every possible move I make. Yeah. Do you see how hard this is to read? May 11th, 2020. I said, I just read Acts 25 and 26 where Paul preaches the gospel to King Agrippa and has all boldness to the point where he is called crazy. He talked about how when he first encountered Jesus, Jesus said, stand upon your feet, as if to say, leave this life behind, come on, let's go. And God just laid on my heart that he says that to me every day when I'm overthinking and not trusting. He looks at me and says, stand on your feet, leave that thought behind, follow me out of here. And then I wrote, the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. Following Jesus is going to make me look crazy. This was my notebook from June 2019 to April 2020. I wrote in yellow, in cursive. You cannot read any of it. Oh my goodness. April 22nd, 2020. I am thoroughly convinced that nothing in this world is more beautiful than Jesus. Stephen made Jesus stand up at the right hand of God. Lord, make my life be something so recklessly abandoned to you that you stand the whole time. I want to bring you to your feet. Thank you for the way you love me. It is so insane. Show me more of your heart. Wreck me for anything other than you. And that was after I read when Stephen was stoned and Jesus, like every time you read about Jesus next to God, he's sitting on the throne, and at this moment he was standing. And I think that is very important to note because for the most part you see him sitting on the throne. So I want to make him stand like Stephen. Yeah, that was a majority of my notes that I had written down for Acts because a majority of the things that I end up thinking and feeling I'll write in my Bible or, you know, just pray. But yeah, so those were the things that I was getting out of Acts when I was reading it the first time, and I'm sure so many other things. The time that I read it the first time, I had just moved out on my own, moved from southern Florida to central Florida by myself. I was living pretty much alone at the time. I had a roommate but didn't see her very much, and I was adjusting to being outside of any place where my family was. That was also the time that COVID hit, which didn't drastically affect my life very much at that time. Just things were more shut down, but I was working online anyway, so it didn't really matter that much. And then so during that time, I remember feeling a lot of extra anxiety because I was alone a lot more. I had a lot more time with my thoughts, and it was just an interesting time of adjustment. And so I remember clinging to Acts a lot when I first started reading it because it was just so like gripping, and a story better than any movie, better than any book, and getting to see Paul and knowing that this was a real life person going through all of these things, not just like, you know, him preaching, but like him doing crazy things like taking a snake and throwing it off of him, even though he would have definitely been poisoned, but having so much faith in God's faithfulness and telling the soldiers around him that were all against him, like, I trust God, I don't trust what you say about my life. And it was just definitely like a necessary thing. It also spurred me on to like evangelize in a lot of different ways because COVID was happening. And so that was when I started the Bible page, or right around that time. And so that was actually when the Bible page started gaining a lot of traction, which I felt was very timely because all of Acts is about evangelizing and Paul doing things that were unheard of. And I was like, well, why don't I just evangelize online? Obviously, tons of other people do that too, but I was like, let me just try it. And that's kind of when God took that and turned it into something that I am still doing pretty much full time today, which drastically changed my life. So Acts was a big reason why I stepped into doing that with so much of my time. And a lot of people joined in during my time in Acts on the page. And so it's really cool to be full circle here again, 2.5 years later, just finished Acts again. I'm in a totally different place in my life than I was then, and just the things that the Lord has shown me now versus what he showed me then is so similar in some ways and so different in other ways. Obviously, as you saw, I wrote a lot less notes this time because I already knew the like geography, I knew all of that stuff. But it was more about like, what is God showing me about how this affects my daily life today? What does this mean for, you know, where I work? What does this mean for my daily life? So when I started this book, I think I started deeply studying it like the end of July, and I just finished it yesterday. So July, August, September, October, November, like 4.5 to 5 months of deeply studying this book. Really in an interesting time of my life now too, because now I'm really living alone. I moved away from the town that I was living in, Central Florida, moved to a totally different section of Central Florida, and moved away from most of my friends, and got a brand new job less than a year ago, and it's the best job I've ever had, literally so good. There's lots of reasons why I left my last job. Just God pulling me in a lot of different directions, a lot of like unfortunate things happening, but the Lord like seriously like shifted me over to this area geographically and also just relationship wise. I've formed so many cool relationships here, and I've just had a really good time. So if you don't know, I'm doing Spark Passion, like the YouTube podcast, all that stuff full time. I'm really hoping to do that full time like financially at some point soon. It really just depends on how it plays out. I mean, I just have to put a lot of effort into it, which I am, but it does take quite a while for that to become like a actual like financial, like fully supported financial employment. I don't know if that sentence made any sense, but you know what I'm saying. But on the side, I'm also a full-time supervisor of a coffee shop. And so that has just been a very big, not test of my patience, but just like a lot of growing in something that I didn't really have experience in before. I was never in coffee, I didn't understand any of that, and now it's something I'm really interested in. I'm actually like entering a lot of like latte art competitions and just a lot of fun stuff that I never thought that I would be good at or like actually enjoy, but I really have been enjoying it. I've met so many fun people, so many fun friends. I have customers that come in every single day and I get to know them. And honestly, the job that I was in prior to this, I was like, my main role was to evangelize, but it really didn't fit my personality in the way that the people who were in charge of me wanted it to fit my personality. And so they kind of like, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of performance pressure to do a lot of things that I didn't feel were my strong suit or things that I just wasn't naturally comfortable with, which doesn't mean like you can't go out of your comfort zone, but I just really felt like God wasn't putting me in that position to keep doing those things. and it just felt forced. Like a lot of my connections with people felt very forced. I didn't feel like I was actually making a difference, and though I'm sure I was in some respects, I just knew for quite a while after I got into it that this is not what I thought it was, and I need to find where I'm supposed to be. Now I don't think I'll be a supervisor of a coffee shop forever. However, I love having that experience, but for right now this is definitely where the Lord has me. And so I am able to form relationships with people who come in and get coffee every single day, and they get to know me, and slowly I've had so many cool conversations with people about Jesus, about my life, about my degree in ministry, about, you know, reading the Bible, about all of that stuff. And also just like coworkers who don't know Jesus seeing me spend time with Jesus on my breaks, and not in like a showy way, like not in like oh, I'm gonna go read my Bible, but like they just kind of see it as evidence on my life. And this is one of the only times that I've actually, besides high school, that I've gotten to be around a lot of unbelievers and just kind of live and have them see the difference in value of life and how I'm actually living my life. And because for a while, like I went to a Christian college, I worked with a ton of Christians for literally years. Like every job that I had after college was associated with a lot of Christians. I had a graphic design job, and that was with a group of Christians. And then after that, I worked for a church. And so all of that was with a group of Christians. And so there was nowhere where I was just living my life like every single day where there was a group, like groups of unbelievers seeing me every single day. So this is the first opportunity I've had in a long time to just kind of live my life without the pressure of you need to get saved right now, but just living life and forming relationships and hoping that they see Jesus in how I just live my daily mundane tasks and how I do everything. And so it's been really cool to read Acts in this setting, because it's like a whole new ball game. So like the first time I read Acts, it was like this charge to, you know, start the online ministry and spark passion, like the Instagram and all that stuff. And I watched God like really use that. And this time reading Acts, now that that's been established, it's like, okay, I'm not done with you there, keep doing that, but now we're gonna add this portion of it to where you feel comfortable living your daily life but are surrounded by unbelievers all the time that are gonna see how you live. And it's definitely challenged me to like hold my life to a different standard and make sure that I always have a good attitude, especially being in charge of all of the employees that work there. It is like that is a test of my patience. A lot of stuff happens, you know, managing people is hard. And so I really feel like I've learned so much about how to have a lot of grace and mercy with people, especially I think the only other coworker that I have that's a Christian is like a 17-year-old. And so there's nobody really in my same place in life, one that lives near me at all that's a Christian, or anyone at my workplace. And so it really has been such an adjustment for me, coming out of my little Christian bubble for so many years and coming and doing this. And honestly, it's been a joy because I honestly mean, like I feel with my whole heart that I'm making so much more of a difference here, doing mundane tasks, making people their coffee as they go to work, like having just random subtle conversations. I feel like I'm making so much more of a difference doing that than going to evangelize on a school campus and feeling a ton of pressure and not being successful because of the pressure of wanting someone to get saved. And of course I want people to get saved in my workplace, but there's not this pressure of performance, and I can just live and let God breathe through me and reach people in the timing that He wants to reach them. And so it just really has been a shift of perspective. So a lot of my life changed, and it was just really, really cool to watch God unfold that, and I'm excited for whatever that means for the next time I go through Acts, whatever way I'm evangelizing then or just living my life. But yeah, I just wanted to encourage you that wherever you're at, you can make a difference, and it doesn't matter how old or young you are, like there is a place that God can use you, whether it's specifically for evangelizing or if it's just for living your life, because those two are one and the same. And so yeah, so I love you guys, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that that was just encouraging for you, as I have been encouraged as I go through Acts, and I always want to share that with you. But yeah, I will start a new book this week, and I will update that on my page. Thanks for watching. I am so excited you got to dive into Acts with me and just kind of go through my notes from, I think the last time I read it was like 2.5 years ago versus now, and what God showed me then versus now. And just like how I've grown since reading it last and all of my notes and all that stuff. But yeah, I hope that you can go back at your notes and see how much God has changed your life and things that have happened over the last few years as you continue to dive deep into the word and see how it totally changes your perspective as you read it again and again. And yeah, this is your final reminder to use my code on AnaLuisa because it would make fantastic Christmas gifts for your mom, for your sister, for your best friends, because every girl loves fun jewelry that does not hurt them. So yeah, love you guys, and I will see you later. Also, if you are new here and this is your first video, I'm so glad that you're here, first of all, but this is not the only place you can find me. You can also find me on Instagram at spark.passion, and TikTok is the same username, and obviously YouTube. I also have a podcast, which is called Spark Passion, the podcast. Did I say that right? Spark Podcast, Spark Passion, the podcast. Yeah, there's lots of different avenues for us to hang out and get closer, and yeah, so I will see you later on one of those platforms. Bye guys.